Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about the 7 Super Godfest that has just come out in North America. So, Super Godfests are significantly better than vanilla or regular Godfest because they feature higher hit rates for the Godfest exclusives, as well as featuring more than the usual pool of 17, if I'm not mistaken. So, this is an exciting time because Godfest exclusives have now become somewhat of trade fodder to utilize to gain valuable collab cards. So for instance, a lot of players traded in for their Beach Barbara and Julie or their Yusuke and didn't actually have to roll in those respective events because it's usually more stone efficient, unless you're obviously lucky, to roll in Super Godfest to acquire the Godfest exclusives, then trade in collabs instead of rolling the collabs themselves. So this is an exciting event, and for the most part, this should be the strongest event for the remainder of 2018, unless Christmas reveals something truly amazing. And the only other competing event is Dragonbound Dragon Caller. Now, Dragonbound Dragon Caller did get a bit of a revamp in Japan, and it is incredibly powerful. It's arguably the best event to roll in that's not a regular Rare Machine or Godfest at all, because all the 5 stars for the most part are incredibly valuable, and you just want to get at least all the 5 stars, especially the ones that have Killer Awakenings, because they can help you progress through certain content significantly easier. With that being said, the decision of whether to roll in this Super Godfest or Dragonbound Dragon Caller comes down to your own personal needs, preferences, and goals. I don't know every person's monster box individually, and a good general word of advice, kind of like a blanket statement, is that if you have most or all of the 5-star Dragonbound Dragon Color cards, it's better to roll in Super Godfest because you're just going to pull your 9th Giselle, and that's generally not the best thing to do. But on the flip side, if you don't have those 5 stars, rolling in Dragonbound Dragon Color tends to be more valuable because we don't know when it's going to come back, and the cards are so unique and so powerful that they can definitely help your level of progression. So this video / article will be summarizing my thoughts and opinions on a Super Godfest. And one last thing I do want to point out before I go any further is that make sure you actually press the Super Godfest machine button instead of the regular Rare machine. It's possible you do it wrong. I've seen someone do that before. It's not the best thing to do. So, Super Godfest versus regular or vanilla Godfest. So, for the past several months, we've been experiencing these regular Godfests, or every two to 3 weeks or so, and these Godfests have approximately 10-11% chance to roll a 6 or 7-star Godfest exclusive. And this is because only 15 6-stars and 2 7-stars are featured at any given time. So the rolling rates are obviously lower as well, so it's a lot more challenging to actually acquire those rare, valuable cards. Now, as I mentioned beforehand, the 6-star Godfest exclusives have now primarily been converted into Monster Exchange trade fodder in order to acquire those rare and valuable collab cards. So you need 4 or 5 of them depending on the event, but it's generally much more stone efficient to do so than roll in those collabs. Now, Super Godfests have increased rolling rates, but they also have an increased Magic Stone cost to participate. So this Lucky 7's one has a 7 theme, so it's going to cost you 7 Magic Stones to roll. So I looked at the full roster lineup, and there is a 19.6% chance to roll any Godfest exclusive in this Super Godfest. Now, if we had just assumed that 11% is the rolling rate for regular Godfest for Godfest exclusives, and when we adjust for the stone inflation of 7 versus 5, so it's a 40% increase, a regular Godfest lands at around 15.4% versus the 19.6%. So there is an increase. It's not as dramatic as it was from a previous Super Godfest, which I'll highlight in a moment, but it's still better overall. But in addition to that, there are kind of consolation prizes, so to speak. And the idea is that because it's a 7's theme, lots of things have 7 featured. So basically, all cards that come out will be 7-star cards, which means that Pantheon cards will be evolved all the way to their 7-star form and will prioritize Awoken evolutions if at all possible. 6-star Godfest exclusives are evolved once, and then 7-star Godfest exclusives obviously just come out as is. But in addition to all of that, they come out at level 77, and they also come with plus 77 to each stat for a total of 231 pluses. So these are quite nice collateral benefits. And if you are a newer player who has a very shallow monster box, is not able to acquire evolution materials plus eggs, or experience fodder very easily. This is an incredible event because the cards kind of come out ready to use. You're going to have a much easier time utilizing these cards and progressing through the game. So if you are a newer player, this is an incredible time to roll because you just saved yourself countless hours of grinding, whereas a more developed player can get these more easily. So this is a nice little collateral benefit, but this is unfortunately a weaker Super Godfest compared to the previous one. So the previous Super Godfest occurred in late July, and it had a higher chance to acquire any Godfest exclusive. It also featured numerous rare and valuable cards like, say, New Year's Kami, New Year's Yomi, so on and so forth, as well as Heron and Dragonbound Dragoncaller top tier cards. So you had a better chance to roll something valuable. You also had a better pool to draw from, and it cost less stones to actually roll. So the previous Super Godfest had approximately, I believe it was about 24% chance to roll one of those good cards for only 6, not 7 stones. So it was better in the past, but the thing is, we don't have a time machine. We can't go back in time and roll that Super Godfest. I would if I could, but we just cannot. So we have to kind of just live with the fact that this is what we currently have. And this obviously raised the question, like, should I roll or should I not roll, assuming you already have the Dragonbound Dragoncaller cards? Because the thing is, like, this Lucky 7's, they're trying to add in, like, the added value through the consolation prizes, but that just kind of inflates the stone price as well as adding or possibly lowering the rolling rates because you get all these extra benefits. But those extra benefits you can farm for on your own time. It just costs stamina and just mental perseverance to actually acquire those materials. So, again, the question of whether to roll or not kind of comes down to the idea of like an opportunity cost. In any game, when like any sort of gacha game or collecting game, there is obviously the notion of power creep. And power creep is the idea that cards gain more relevancy, as time progresses, newer and more powerful cards are released that kind of invalidate or replace older ones. Every game needs to have a certain degree of power creep to keep it fresh and exciting. One nice thing about Pad is that Gung-Ho actually goes back and gives new evolutions, new buffs, etc. to older cards. They tend to be the rarer ones, of course, but at least they still gain relevance. So, for example, Dark Metatron was always okay to slightly better than okay to good at some point, but then she kind of fell off hard, and now for new evolution, she's arguably the best leader in the game. So we kind of have this cyclic nature of old cards getting recycled back into relevancy. So that is nice, so you don't always have to keep spending and keep rolling and chasing the newest and latest thing. But, of course, if you don't keep up with power creep, you might start falling behind, you might not start clearing content, and your own levels of happiness and enjoyment may start stagnating. So if you get into the mindset of always waiting, always saving, because it's always going to be better on the horizon, like the next couple of months it's always going to have something stronger. But if you're in that constant cycle of waiting, you're never going to progress, perhaps. So the best way to deal with power creep or catch up is to wait for a beneficial event such as the Super Godfest and roll heavily. And then ideally you acquire as many strong and powerful cards as possible, and you kind of can just ride this wave of powerful monsters until the next wave of power creep when you've hopefully saved up more stones again. So, for example, like the last Super Godfest, I rolled heavily in it to kind of stock up on 6-star Godfest exclusives. And then when the Beach Rare machine came around, I traded in for Barbara and Julie. So I'm kind of like, yay, I have a top tier leader. I can progress through more game content with a different style leader that has different pros and benefits compared to Yusuke or Dark Metatron. So that's kind of how I'm viewing this Super Godfest now. Like, we know that Halloween does have like a really powerful Cotton, but it's mostly a sub. Do you really need to have Cotton as a sub? She's balanced and I think dragon typing, so you can't use her on Dark Metatron teams. Maybe harder to fit her on some other cards. But the point of the matter is Halloween doesn't have anything truly game changing from a leader perspective, and unless Christmas has something truly bonkers, which is in several months, we may not even get it on time because North America has weird timings. Nothing is going to be coming out in the next 3 months that we know of, at least at this point in time. So rolling in this Super Godfest to kind of stock up on 6-star Godfest exclusives can be a beneficial thing to do. Because again, when that newest craze card is released, you're at least ready to trade in for it. You don't have to panic and scramble and maybe even roll in that collab if there's just junk filling the rest of the rolls. So again, it comes down to your personal preference and how you feel like it's going to help you progress through the game. So this is now my Godfest exclusive tier list, and basically this is my own personal opinion as to how powerful or useful all the Godfest exclusives are in the game. So it kind of takes the point of view of how valuable they are as a leader, sub, or inherit. And again, just use this and really any tier list as kind of a conversational starting point. You don't have to take these as absolute truths. It's not necessarily applicable to every single player. And with that being said, just because a card is ranked highly doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be amazing for you if you don't have the monster box to support it. If you have a monster box that has no way to run a reach team, for instance, he's not that valuable to you for the most part. It's going to be less valuable than someone who has at least a reach team to use competently. Same with any other card, like say Dark Metatron. She's incredibly powerful as a leader, but if you have absolutely no subs to run for her, it can be a little problematic. Just kind of use this again as a starting point, a general reference, but for the most part, the ones at the very bottom tend to be good trade fodder. So, in conclusion, the Lucky 7 Super Godfest is an exciting event, but yes, it is not as great as the previous Super Godfest, but it's still a lot better than just those regular vanilla Godfests. So, for the rest of 2018, unless Christmas is truly amazing, Dragonbound Dragoncaller is the only other noteworthy event coming up, because Halloween, we've seen the previews, are just alright. There's one strong sub possibly, but that's it. So, it would be worth rolling in here, in my opinion, if you already have all the Dragonbound Dragoncaller cards, at least at the bottom rarity, because you can stock them on those 6-star Godfest exclusives and trade them in when the next big crazy thing is announced and released. So, let me know what you think about this event in the comments below. Do you think it's worth rolling? And if you did actually roll, let me know what you actually acquired. Hopefully all the Mantastic day. I wish you all the best luck in your own pad adventures, and happy puzzling.